Throughout my career, I've completed many transformation programs, and it is always the same issue. It is, how do you land change and how do you make it sustainable? Whenever I start a new role, I speak to the CEO or the chairman and I say, do you really want to change? How much do you want to change and how fast do you want to change? And I continue asking this question every 90 days through a change program, because of the external environment, it will change. I think a rigid transformation program where you start with A and end in Z is no longer viable. It has to be agile and flexible. The thing with transformation programs as well is that it involves people. It's like a three-legged stool. You've got the people, process, and you've got technology. Technology and process can change very quickly, but people, they take a longer time to adapt. But if you don't focus on the people and you chip away at that leg, then the stool will fall over. So any transformation will fall over. In my experience, transformation projects fail because the people, the process and technology are not aligned. What we tend to do in the old-fashioned way of transformation in a business is you take one problem area, it could be HR, it could be digital, extract it from the organisation, you fix it, and then you try and drop it in. If you look at business as an ecosystem where everything has to work harmoniously alongside each other, if you drop a foreign object into an ecosystem, the ecosystem will reject it. So what you need to do is you need to change and make the transformation within the system that exists, within the ecosystem. And then you have to say, what is the knock-on effect? If we change the process, what's the knock-on effect to people? If we introduce new technology, what is the impact on people? So then when you actually make the change, it's systemic and it's long-lasting. The majority of transformation programs fail because it's a very direct route and there's no flexibility in it. But the world will change, the environment will change. Within a business, it will change. Earlier I said, keep asking your CEO, do you want to change? How much do you change? Why do you want to change? That answer should change pretty much every 90 days. And if it doesn't, then I don't think you're actually transforming, because a business in this day and age just moves so quickly that whatever your transformation program is, if it's a simple A to Z, and that's where you end up at Z, you should never end up at Z, because the program should be flexible. In my experience, over 30 years, it's people. I think the biggest resistor is people. It can be internal people, it can be external people, it can be the entire environment. The problem with when you're trying to implement a change in an organisation, the organisation just cannot stop. Unless you're a brand new startup and you've got a clean slate sheet of paper, you can build it up. But you can't just stop an organisation. And the biggest area in an organisation that you can't stop is the people function. You can't just halt it. You still have to operate, the people still have to work. So how do you build over that resistance? You're going to get people who are going to reject the eye completely, the people who are going to push back, and then you'll get the people who are going to come on board. I like to use references like building a ship. So you've got a ship, there's holes in the ship, and the ship is slowly sinking. So you can either look at the ship and say, right, we can make these quick fixes and these are the patches and this is what we need, or you can say we want to do a complete systemic transformation and we want to reinvent ourselves, but we have to keep operating. So if you think you're going to build a new ship, you still have to keep the old ship afloat. The old ship still has to keep going. You still have to keep plugging those little holes, and it still has to be fully operational and fully functional before you can migrate to the new ship. When you go to the new ship, you have to think, who are you going to take first? Who's going to make that move? Who is the people who are on board who are champions of that change to move across to the new ship? So you can't just jump and then sink the previous ship. You have to do it slowly. So who are you going to take first? Do you need the right technology in the ship? Have you got it? Have you got the right trained people, the right qualified people, the experienced people to drive the new ship, because it's new technology? So you have to bring people over slowly. At some point you will have two ships. And this is a cost, and this is where organisations come uncomfortable. So what they tend to do is they keep the new ship and the old ship, and they keep them both. But at some point you have to transfer everybody over, as uncomfortable it is, and then you have to let the gangplank down and leave the other ship behind. I think for me that is the biggest challenge for businesses and resistance to change.